Hey you guys, it's Seawolf. Today I'm going to be going over my Maxpedition Mini pouch. My last pouch video was over my EDC pouch that I carry every day. This is a pouch that I keep in my backpack, and it has a very specific function. It's like a survival pouch. So for a scale of it, it's about the size of an iPhone 6s Plus. So it's not very big, but it is thick. So it's not something you're going to put in your pocket unless you got cargo pockets or something like that. But so you can see the scale, it's pretty small. So I'm not really like a prepper or a bug out bag kind of guy, but there are situations where if you were to get separated from your main gear, like let's say you were kayaking and your kayak flipped and you were to get separated from your main backpack, this has enough stuff in it to kind of help you survive. It's not to help you be comfortable, but just to help you get out of a bad situation. So let's get right into it. So first of all, up front, I've got several feet of about 50-pound fishing line for, fishing or for tying things up. The back has the molly if you did want to molly it to a pack or something like that. Then on the inside is where the real action happens. So you can see this thing is about packed full. It weighs probably close to a pound. So some of this stuff that I have in it is just a pocket knife. It's not a survival knife by any means, but it's just a good pocket knife. It's a Klein knife. You use it for like electrical work, things like that, but it's a good knife. I've got a small multi-tool because there's a lot of times where you need to pinch something and your fingers just aren't strong enough, so this is useful. It's also got screwdrivers, things like that. You can also cut or shear something if you had to on the back right here. Try and keep all this stuff in frame. I've got an orange lighter just in case you drop it, it'd be easy to find. Starting a fire like this is so much easier than using a fire steel. I've got some water purification tablets. I did the math, and this is about enough purification tablets for a week's worth of water. I can't remember how many liters that came out to, but it was about a week's worth of water. So like I said, this isn't like a long-term survival pouch. It's a get out of a bad scenario pouch. This is a roll of duct tape, and you can see I wrote on here hooks. What's in here is some kind of larger and medium size, maybe small hooks, and I've just put them in this duct tape so they don't puncture everything else. I'm not going to unwrap this, but it's basically just some hooks are up in here. I've also got several feet of just some silver duct tape. I chose silver because I could also use this to like signal, like use a reflection off of it to kind of like signal or something like that. And duct tape has a million different uses. You could repair a tarp or whatever. A pen, just because I don't want to have to write with like charcoal if I needed to. So I've got a pen. No reason it's red, it's just what I had. Right here is a cheap little whistle. So you could use this to signal someone, or if someone was far away and your voice wouldn't reach, you could use this whistle to get in touch with them. Then in the back, I've just got some cotton right here you can see for making a fire a little bit easier to start. And this has got an O-ring on it so that it's pretty easy to keep dry. Then I've also got, this isn't paracord, it's just like nylon cord, but I've got several feet of cordage just for tying things up. I wouldn't want to like climb with this or anything like that. I've got some needle and thread. In a horrible situation, you could sew yourself up with this. That's not really like something you want to do, but if you need to repair like some clothing or maybe make like some sort of garment like out of leather or something, you might could do it with this, but really in a bad situation, you could sew yourself up with this. Hopefully that never happens though. Then I've just got a fire seal striker. It's also got a measuring tool on it if you wanted to make like a map or something like that. A bottle opener slash bit head. And then, like I said, it's a striker, so I don't ruin this knife right here, because this is not like a survival knife, and this is kind of sharp right here. I'm not sure if you guys can see it. It's got an edge on it, so it makes it easy for striking things. Then I've got some copper wire. You could make a compass out of this. Wire has a pretty high tensile strength, so this is just useful for multiple things. I mean, you could use this for a lot of stuff. Again, you could sew yourself up with this if you sanitized it with fire or something like that. So multiple uses for this. And that's kind of a theme you'll see, that you can do multiple things with a lot of the stuff in here. This is a just surgical tubing. A couple things you can do with this is the bag you could use for toting water or some materials that you don't want to touch everything else. This surgical tubing you can use for a tourniquet in a really bad situation. You could use to suck down to some water that's kind of far away. One of the reasons I keep it in here, and probably the main reason to be honest, is to make like a slingshot or a bow in a situation where if you were overnight and you were lost and you need to like kill a small like squirrel or something like that, you can make a slingshot out of this pretty easily, because hopefully you don't have to use a tourniquet. If you have to use a tourniquet, you're in a pretty bad situation. Then hooked to the pack is this fire steel, because in my opinion this is probably the most important thing in this pack, because you can make fire with this even if it's a little bit wet. You could dry it off with your shirt, make fire with this way more times than you could that lighter. So that I leave just hung on here so it can't get lost. I've got some little Purell packets just for sanitizing things. You could use this for sanitizing a wound, wouldn't really feel very good. Or just, you know, keeping yourself clean while you're eating or something like that. And again, guys, I'm not like a prepper, so I'm not an expert. I'm sure there's a lot better ways to use this stuff, but this was just something that I thought would be nice to have on me if I'm hiking or something, and if I got separated from everything else, would help me out. So these are just some like ramen noodle seasoning packs. I got this because if for some reason I couldn't find food, no, this doesn't have a lot of calories, but it's got sodium and stuff like that in it, so it helped morale. You know, you could drink this stuff and feel pretty good. You could go from an empty stomach to probably satisfying your stomach and keeping pretty focused. So I got 2 of these. This would probably make like a gallon's worth of just like a morale boosting soup. Then I've got some more cotton for making fires right here. I've got some floss. Floss is super strong, so you could use this for cordage for things. Again, I don't have anything in here for climbing. That's really not the intent of it, but this is another form of cordage that is super compact and super strong. And, you know, something you probably don't think about a lot, but if you did get something stuck in your teeth, you're not in civilization where you can just find a toothbrush or whatever to pop it out, and your teeth are super important. Like if your gums start rotting or you start having issues with your gums, I mean, that's like a big deal. If you can't eat, you're not gonna live. So in the back right here, what I keep tucked in is this Ziploc bag, which is a lot more medical gear, which I'll show you in just a second. We'll go ahead and do this side. Right here's a garbage bag. You could use this for a shelter, for carrying a lot of water. If you found some things on the ground, like if you're in a spot that has maybe some garbage or something like that, you could pick it up and use this as a backpack, because obviously you've lost your backpack if you're having to get into this pouch. So this is probably about a 30-gallon garbage bag if I had to guess. And white is going to show really well, you know, in the forest. This isn't like a covert bag. This is like, hey, please come find me. I'm in bad trouble bag. Then I've also got some paper. This is like engineering paper. It's sectioned off in, I think, 0.2 inch increments. So you could use this for making a map. You got a straight edge with your ruler on it right here. Then I've got a signaling mirror. If you just need to see yourself, you know, a lot of people have seen that scene off Castaway where he has to see inside his mouth to do like a knock a tooth out. So you could use it for that, but it's really for signaling. It's for the reflection. That's the main reason I have it. A compass. This is not the nicest compass on the planet, but I figured it was better than nothing, and it fit in this pouch. And then you guys, that's really all that I have in the pouch. I love this size. You guys will see that I'll do these pouch videos because I'm kind of a neat freak and I love organization, but of all the sizes that I have, this is probably my favorite because it's the most accessible. I love having lots of things on me, but at the end of the day, if you have a big pouch, you're not gonna, it's not very realistic you have it on you at all times. This is small enough that it doesn't look weird if you like carry this thing around a little bit. It kind of looks like a camera bag. So I love this size. This is the foliage green, and I want to say this was really cheap. I think it was less than 15 bucks. So if you're still with me, I know this is a long video, but if you're still with me, we can go into this kind of medical gear. So I've got another Ziploc bag for carrying water. So you can see a theme that water and morale and navigation and fire is kind of the focus of this. And then some health and medical supplies just to keep you alive. This isn't if you have cut your arm off. I mean, this is a very minimalistic get out of a bad scenario bag. So let's go through some of this medical gear. Just some butterfly band-aids. If you had a laceration that normally would constitute stitches and you can't get them on quick enough, you could use this. Got several of those. They're just kind of packed in. Some Emergen-C. So if you're not in civilization, you may be feeling sick or have something going on. This stuff will boost your energy and kind of fend your immune system for just a little while. Obviously, this isn't going to last forever. And this could be a morale booster. This stuff, I think, tastes pretty decent. And if you haven't had anything to eat and you just need some vitamins and something in your mouth, you know, sweet or something to kind of make you feel a little bit better, this is another thing you can use. Some gauze. Obvious reasons you could pack a wound or just make a bandage with some of this tape. This right here is some, trying to unfold this, sting relief. You know, bugs are everywhere in the world, so this is useful. Some Goodies powders. This is, you know, Goodies is not the best for like your kidneys and things like that, but at the end of the day, this is a decent amount of caffeine. And in a bad scenario, if you're, again, kind of feeling weak because you haven't had food, caffeine is going to be really useful, and this stuff does have flavor to it. Day to day, you're probably not thinking, hey, that stuff tastes great, but if you've been in the woods and you hadn't had anything to eat for 2 days, this stuff might be looking pretty nice. This will look like a steak. Some Neosporin, obviously just for wounds, things like that. Some, it's kind of hard for me to pronounce that, but it's basically just towelettes for cleaning wounds, and it doesn't burn as bad as alcohol, so I put them in here. I got 3 of those. Then we just got some like antibiotic ointments, so similar to Neosporin, I got about 4 of those. Some more Purell. So you can see the theme of that pack right there is mainly for like cuts and stuff. If you get a really bad wound, you know, if you're like missing an appendage or something, this is not really going to help you. But if you flip down a hill or something and you've got some scratches or cuts that are pretty deep enough for stitches, this is enough stuff to address that so you don't get it infected. And then finally, super important, is some Imodium Tablets. This takes up almost no space, and from what I hear, it is very likely, you know, if you drink water or take in water or get some sort of parasite that makes you have diarrhea, that is a super dangerous situation. You know, in civilization, it sucks to get diarrhea, but it's not life-threatening. If you're out in the woods and you can't keep water in your system, it is super important that you make that stop. So I've got basically 2 doses of Imodium tablets, which in my mind, you don't want to fake your system with Imodium too many times. This is just enough to get you out of a bad situation, because there's a reason you have diarrhea, is to purge your system, obviously. So that's what this is for. So you guys, I know this was a long video, but I really enjoy these little pouches and stuff and getting organized. I hope you guys do too. I hope this inspires some of you. And like I said, I am not an expert, so I would love it if you could comment on things you thinking that's in here that's kind of silly or doesn't make sense, or if there's things you think I could add. The main thing I feel like I have left in this is a small little flashlight, and I just haven't made the chance to buy one. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your time. If you know of anything that I can add to this or things you think I should take out, please let me know. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.